For Instant Analysis, I'm Shotgun Spratling, along with the legend, Dan Weber, here after a USC, Dan, and now let me make sure I get this correct, a road win in the Big Ten in Indiana at Purdue. Initial thoughts to see USC come in here and some vibes. It kind of felt to me like Maryland last year, and then a huge play from Jamal Jarrett kind of changes the momentum, and they find a way to get a 33-17 win and get off to a good start in the Big Ten.
I'm kind of with Lincoln on this. I think when he was asked about that, pressed a little bit, he said, this isn't last year's team. This is a different team. It's a different makeup, and he did not like the thought that this was a team that was still dealing with the kind of issues in the fourth quarter, especially on the road in the Big Ten. So we didn't get a whole lot of an answer there. He just said, this is not that team. But they got the win. I mean, you can look at all the good things, all the bad things, all the crazy stuff, which probably outnumbered all the rest of it. But they got the win, and that didn't happen for them last year at all.
Yeah, it was definitely come on the road and crazy stuff will happen. It felt like that last year at times. Today, it starts with a 3-hour weather delay, lightning in the area. The teams took the field, warmed up, and then they said, hold on. Go back to the locker room, and just lightning continued to strike over and over and over. A lot of questions after the game about what the team did then. And Lincoln Riley actually said he had to calm the team down because they were so excited to go out and play. But they stayed loose. They ate. Lincoln Riley said that it looked like a grocery store in there with how much food they had for the players and whatnot. But it started the day. Chaos could be created early. And then there is a double pass play that USC could have picked off and took into the house for an interception. Instead, it bounces on the ground. Purdue picks it up and runs it in for a score. Those are the type of plays that felt like last year that when they happened, everything kind of went off the rails. And instead, USC found a way. And in the fourth quarter, they were even able to salt the game away. What did you kind of notice different when you talk about how Lincoln said, this is a different team? Your initial observations of them, what did you think kind of looked different versus last year that enabled this team to find a way to win in the fourth quarter?
Well, just watching pregame, I thought they had a lot of bounce. I thought they were really ready to go. I kind of liked where they were. I also thought, and I think Lincoln came up with the same conclusion, that handling that 3-hour delay can become a really good thing for this team. Having the poise and the ability to get yourself up again and come out and warm up again. They basically went through an entire second warm-up, except they didn't leave the field the second time. And since both teams stayed on the field, there was no national anthem, which kind of caused a little bit of a buzz. But usually the teams aren't on the field when they go off for the national anthem. But since they stayed on the field, there really was not a place for the national anthem. But that was something, if you want to list out all the kind of crazy things that were happening, that would be one. I know I was talking to Marcus Allen, and he was down there for the whole 3 hours and something in the locker room before the game, and he said a very kindly policeman sent out for dinner for him. So Marcus and I guess Mark Carrier were here, and they got dinner. Marcus had a big smile on his face. He was happy with how that turned out.
Must have been nice. We did not get any extra food in the press box. They actually said that they were going to have food available until kickoff. And that, of course, did not happen. They pulled that away when the rain delay happened. But, yeah, it was definitely a lot of unique, different things were happening. And unique, the biggest play of the game, Jamal Jarrett, 360 pounds, just rumbling. He picks off a pass. Great pressure from USC. They got 5 sacks on the day. They had 10 tackles for loss. Right. They were getting pressure on the quarterback pretty consistently, especially late in the game where Purdue had to throw the ball. But the biggest play of the day, Purdue's driving, potentially make it a one-score game for the first time since USC had taken a 10-0 lead, and instead ball goes up in the air. Jamal Jarrett, all 360 pounds of him, bobbles it a little bit, catches it, and then takes off down the field. A 70-yard interception return for a touchdown, and that seemed to turn the tide for USC. What did you make of the thick six interception that we saw?
The biggest player in USC football history to score a touchdown. And I don't even think it's close. I know people are doing some research, and I'm thinking, have they even had a 360-pound guy who's actually played and then scored a touchdown? And the thing you kept thinking is, he's still running. Wait a minute. I don't think they're going to catch him. And he I don't know, he could have gone 5 more yards, but he just kept going. And it was like watching it happen in slow motion. And I know, what was it, Wayman Jordan was saying? He got himself up. He said, he caught it. Wow. And he said, get the offense ready to go. And then they didn't have to go because he went all the way, which was, again, there were a couple of the craziest plays that you can pretty much say, I'm never going to see that again. The double, you can call it double pass. It was basically double laterals, fumble, 34-yard touchdown run. What? I mean, it just, again, that will never happen probably again in college football history.
And USC was all over that one. Eric Gentry potentially could have picked it off and taken it the other way. USC ends up with 3 interceptions in the game, 2 in the red zone by Bishop Fitzgerald to stymie Purdue drives. He played a huge role. That 3 safety look they've been using a lot of because of the injuries they've had at nickelback continues to be successful for them. He's a guy that had a really big game in that opener, struggled a little bit at times last week, but talked about it with his pick 6 that he had in the opening game about the film study. You could tell that he had eyed the plays. He talked about the last one. He said that's a tendency in the red zone. It was a play they'd run before. What have you seen from a guy like Bishop Fitzgerald coming in and bringing that veteran leadership, not only being an older guy and being a leader, but also being a ball hawk back there for that defense?
Yeah, on a back line that didn't look all that sure of itself, and as Lincoln said, we're probably given too much air and some busts and what have you. On those 2 plays, it was like he was the designated receiver. It was like he made a cut to the ball, like he absolutely knew where it was going and what he had to do to make that play.
It wasn't all pretty for USC. One of the biggest issues was, once again, same as last week, was penalties. So USC has, I believe, 10 penalties for over 100 yards in this game, or 9 penalties for over 100 yards, and a couple of them that kept drives alive, including a leaping over the shield protectors on a punt by Walter Matthews, and there's a question about whether he was blocked over the blockers or whatnot, but just big penalties again, and that seems to be an issue. What are some things that you notice that they need to be cleaning up as they continue to go forward in Big Ten?
I mean, they're one-of-a-kind things. I don't know. Maybe I've seen that one once, and there's a little situation where does the shield guy step forward at all? And if he steps forward and you're jumping, but you jump somewhat forward, I think that was – I would not have been as certain as they seem to be about that penalty. And then the 2 side, we didn't get an explanation on the USC sideline interference penalties. We have no idea who that was on, or it was away from the play and after the play. I mean, the crew did not have a good game. I mean, they huddled up on offside penalties that were obviously going to be declined, and they would have a minute discussion. It was like, what are you doing? I was not impressed with the Big Ten crew here today.
There was one holding call that USC got held in the backfield, and yet it was only a 3-yard loss on the play, which didn't make much sense to me down on the field. I would have to say give me your thoughts on from the press box, but that being down here, being right in front of the student section, I thought they were lively the entire game. The Purdue crowd, I was impressed with the amount of people that did stick around after the 3-hour delay. The student section was going at USC's players on the bench, especially Eric Gentry a good bit. He was waving them off and telling them to go home and stuff later in the game. But it was a great atmosphere, I thought, and I thought the atmosphere, it was really important for USC to be able to win in this type of atmosphere after all the struggles they had last year. What were kind of your thoughts on the game, the atmosphere from the press box?
I think the setup is good here for Purdue because you got the students in both where USC warms up, and the students are right here and right behind them. And there's obviously was a lot of dialogue going on. I mean, I got the sense that some of the USC players knew after hearing from them so much. Well, they had 2 warm-ups, so they actually warmed up twice right in front of the student section, and it's kind of a soccer standing room only section in the end zone. I mean, there are no seats, so they're all standing there in like a soccer crowd. And I think having not been here, I guess 27 years, this is altogether a different place. I mean, this was like just some old stadium out in the middle of like a cow field or whatever, and they've done a pretty good job of adding. I think it's the second largest video board in college football. That press box did not exist. They've worked at it pretty well. I think it used to have 70,000. Now it's down to 62,000, and a lot of the students didn't make it. I think they probably were hoping for. One of the problems with a school like Purdue is a lot of these students are from Indiana, and it's sometimes hard to keep them here, through the weekend. So the ones that stayed, it looked like they really wanted to stay until USC finally got that last score. And then we were kidding about they had the gates locked to keep everybody out during the lightning delay and the thunderstorm warnings and all that. And we were saying maybe they need to lock them to keep them back in because they started realizing, okay, this one's over.
Yeah, it had to be a good sight for the USC players to be able to look up and see people walking out, the opposing fans, to be able. It's always one of the best feelings when you're on the road to send people home early. There was the train whistle was going a ton. Yeah. Obviously, they do it on 3rd downs. They also do it on 4th downs, and USC had a lot of success on 4th down. Not so much on 3rd down, but when they got to 4th down, they found a way to keep drives alive and keep the momentum going to be able to score some points.
Yeah, I thought the playmaking and play calling on 4th down was really good. 3rd down, not so good. I mean, so how do you that's that kind of situation with this team. It's kind of feast or famine, or smart play, dumb play. Like boom, boom. Like they're almost joined at the hip. Where you see one goes the wrong way and you think, well, this team does seem to have the ability to just go on and make and play the next play. They don't seem to, when they, kind of screw up on 3rd down, they don't seem to think that that's going to stop them from making a play on 4th down. I like that.
Jay Maiava, another quality game for him. No turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. Maybe one pass that you go, hey, don't throw that, and it was nearly a touchdown to Nook Hines. You don't necessarily like to throw in that situation, but he put a perfect ball. So I did like the placement of that one. What were your thoughts on Jay Maiava and maybe what you've seen the growth from last year to now?
Yeah, he looks like an old seasoned, veteran head. I mean, he looks very calm, very comfortable, very, he just looks like, this is my team, and I feel really good about being here. And I think they feel really good about him. I mean, and this was a situation you didn't know where could he go, where would he go after last year. I think he's playing as well as anybody in the Big Ten. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. And he does have the ability to throw the ball out there. I don't think they maybe quite opened it up as much as they could have for him throwing the ball down the field, but I'm really impressed. And when you think about him, like standing next to him at the post-game press conference, he's really big. He's a really big guy. You didn't think of him when he came to USC as being as big as and strong as he is. And he's a big, strong guy who doesn't take a lot of effort to throw the ball down the field very easily.
Yeah, he had a nice game. They also used his legs a little bit more in this
Yep.
game than they have the first couple, and he did some nice jobs of not taking any big hits, picking up some first downs on those third and fourth down opportunities and getting out of bounds when he needed to. Thought he played really smooth in this game. That's probably been the thing that's kind of stood out the most through these first 3 games about him to me.
Yeah, I thought they used him well. Purdue, I don't know what, they were reading something because they really had the running back zeroed in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were running to where the ball was going, and the times he kept it and took off, because very often at the point of attack, Purdue would have more tacklers than USC could block. But when he pulled the ball back and went with it, Purdue didn't have anybody covering him. I don't think Purdue was concerned about him running the ball. And I think USC doing that, I thought that was exactly the right thing to do when they were having trouble getting the running backs out of the backfield. The timing between the point of attack blocking and the running back getting there just seemed off a little bit. And partly that was Purdue was running to the football really well. I give them a lot of credit. Whatever they picked up from USC's offense, they did a good job.
They definitely slowed the running game down, but in the fourth quarter, USC was able to go on a drive that was almost 6 minutes long and actually salt the game away. They kick a field goal on it now. They left some points out there. Obviously, they clanked a field goal. They had I think kicked 4 field goals in this game. So some opportunities, definitely things to clean up. But just your final thoughts on seeing this USC team in person from what you've seen the first couple games, and maybe compared to what we saw last year with them going on the road and struggling in the Big Ten. What are your thoughts on what this team can be this season?
There has been growth. I don't think there's any question. They have a different attitude. I like the interplay between the USC players and the Purdue students. I just thought that was good. They looked comfortable on the road. The great USC teams loved coming on the road. They wanted to beat you in your place. They thought that's more fun. Let's do that. And I got the sense that this team kind of had that same feeling. Like, we're gonna, keep yelling at us. We'll see. And then they made it. Then they made it happen. They made enough plays. I mean, again, they didn't make every play, as Lincoln said, and they got a lot to work on. But it looks like they want to work on it. I'm not sure what to do about the secondary. I don't see enough technique there. I don't see enough athleticism to be certain of where they're going to evolve to. Their outside pass rush is sensational. I mean, I don't know about necessarily always the interior defensive line, but I think that's something that can come along. Linebackers, I think they're still to be determined how the linebackers end up. And I thought in this game, for example, they didn't seem to figure out how to get Mackay and Jacoby as much targets as you probably would have liked. They went with Lake McCree. They did some different stuff that I don't think I have seen, and I like the way they seem really confident in their execution. They really kind of believe we're going to be able to do what we're trying to do here. That's a good thing. The other thing I think about, you look at the schedule, who's that good this year? I mean, is there anybody that, they're out of reach? I don't think so. But this team has to get better. But I think this is a good year where getting better might be good enough.
That'll be interesting to see is how do they continue to progress throughout this season. We've seen those baby steps each game, it feels like, and obviously the competition's gotten a little bit more difficult, but USC is able to come on the road to Ross-Ade Stadium here in West Lafayette, Indiana. As you drive through the cornfields and the football stadium pops out of nowhere, they win 33-17, getting that first Big Ten road win outside of Los Angeles. For instant analysis, Dan Weber, always great to have you on. Thanks so much for joining us up here. I'm Shotgun Spratling. For more, make sure you check out uscfootball.com.